Hello, dear Libra. Something big is coming your way, and no, it's not random. This moment has been written for you in the stars. You didn't just stumble across this video. You were led here by something greater because the message you're about to receive carries the energy of divine timing. If your heart has been quietly waiting for something you can't quite name, if you've felt the whisper of a turning point in your soul, then let me tell you right now, this is it. You've arrived at the edge of a breakthrough. And no, you're not here by chance. This is a sacred reading, crafted just for you, Libra. And it's unlike any you've heard before because this time, the universe isn't silent. It's roaring on your behalf. Your name has been written in light, not at the margins, but center stage. And tomorrow, your life begins to shift in ways you've prayed for in secret. Two blessings are approaching simultaneously, and one angelic surprise is being sent straight from above. You are being chosen to receive, not because of luck, but because of who you are when no one is watching. If lately you've felt like you're waiting without knowing what you're waiting for, if you've been in that strange space between hope and surrender, between "I'm almost there" and "should I give up?" this reading may be the divine confirmation you've needed. Maybe you've been wondering, God, I've been planting seeds in silence, when will I see the harvest? And perhaps the answer is, right now. Psalm 126 verse 5 says, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." And Libra, your reaping season is near. The wait wasn't wasted. The silence wasn't empty. The seeds you planted in faith even while no one noticed are breaking through the soil. Let me take a moment to thank you, truly and deeply, for being here. Your presence means more than you know. Every like, every comment, every subscription you've ever offered to this channel brings light into this space and strengthens our cosmic family here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Your support is the wind behind these divine messages, and your energy is part of what makes this space sacred. And please, stay with me until the very last second of this video, Libra, because what the universe is about to unveil for you is nothing short of extraordinary. This message may very well contain the spiritual activation you've been waiting for, the one that brings clarity, closure, and courage to finally step into your next chapter. So tell me, my loyal Libras, what brought you here today? What synchronicity or stirring in your soul called you to this very message at this very moment? Was it a dream? A number repeating? A whisper in your spirit? Whatever it was, trust it's part of the divine alignment that brought you here. Before we dive in, I'd love for you to claim your energy and confirm your connection. Leave a comment below with a number that's been following you: 777, 1111, or maybe even 444, and share one word that describes the energy you're ready to call in. Maybe it's freedom, healing, new beginning, or simply, I'm ready. Because I believe this with my whole heart, what's arriving for you isn't just a gift. It's a fulfillment. It's your name being called. Finally. And Libra, everything changes from here. There's something quietly sacred about the way Libra walks through life, graceful, discerning, seeking harmony in a world that often demands extremes. And yet, beneath that elegant balance is often a soul who has bent too far, too often, for too many. That's why, right now, this moment in your journey is not just significant, it's monumental. Because this isn't about finding balance anymore. It's about being restored to your rightful place in the universal rhythm. As a Libra, You've mastered the art of holding space for others so much so that your own needs, your own dreams, your own healing have often been set aside quietly, politely. But this cosmic chapter is different. You are no longer the quiet observer of fate. You are being called to step into the center of the circle, to receive what has been accumulating for you through lifetimes of grace under pressure. This isn't a karmic reward handed out by chance. It's a divine recalibration. A spiritual justice. The image of the scales, Libra's ancient symbol, has always been associated with fairness and judgment, but in deeper energetic terms, it's about inner alignment. It's about when your mind, heart, and soul finally stop fighting each other. When you no longer have to choose between pleasing others and honoring yourself. And in this particular cycle, those celestial scales are tipping in your favor, not because someone else is losing, but because you're finally allowing yourself to receive. The planetary forces guiding Libra right now, particularly Venus, your ruling planet, are speaking a language of reclamation. Venus, the planet of beauty, love, values, and worth, is activating a gate of destiny that doesn't ask whether you've done enough, but whether you're finally ready to see yourself as enough. This energy is not just romantic or aesthetic, it's deeply transformational. Venus doesn't just adorn life, she restores it. She reminds you of your innate worthiness, not because of what you produce or perform, but because of who you are when you are still. This is the energetic equivalent of being handed an invitation with your name embossed in gold leaf. You're not waiting to be chosen anymore, Libra. You've been chosen all along, you're just now beginning to believe it. That shift, subtle as it may seem, is what opens the floodgates. It's what allows the life you've envisioned to stop circling around you and finally land. And here's what makes this even more powerful: you're not being elevated for vanity or praise. You're being elevated so that you can become a new vessel of peace, for yourself first and eventually for others. But this time, you lead from fullness, not sacrifice. This time, you serve from joy, not depletion. There's a quiet power in that. A return to sacred equilibrium. Many of us live lives of silent obedience, to jobs, to roles, to expectations. We try to do the right thing. We wait for the world to reward our kindness, our humility, our loyalty. But the truth is, rewards in the physical world can be inconsistent. That's why the deepest form of justice is never external. It's internal. It's a peace that surpasses understanding, a moment where you exhale and realize you no longer need to chase what is already yours. If you've ever felt that your efforts were invisible, that your giving heart went unnoticed, that your steady presence was taken for granted, this is your turning point. You are not here to beg for scraps of acknowledgement. You are here to remember that you are the prize. So take this as a gentle affirmation from the energy that surrounds you. The balance is shifting, not because it's owed to you in some dramatic way, but because it is your time. Let yourself receive it without guilt. Let yourself rest in it without fear. Let yourself celebrate, not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer hiding from your own worth. There is a quiet miracle unfolding in your life. Not loud. Not chaotic. Just real. Just right. Just ready. There are moments in life when everything seems to arrive at once, not in chaos, but in perfect harmony. Libra, you are standing at such a threshold. The convergence of two joys in your life right now isn't random, it's divinely orchestrated. It's as if the universe has been carefully collecting everything you've been waiting for, those silent hopes, the quiet longings you didn't even have words for, and now, like a long-awaited sunrise, it's all arriving together, gentle and radiant. The first joy reveals itself through connection, something deeper than romance, more sacred than attraction. A soul-level meeting. This isn't about being rescued or completed. It's about being witnessed, wholly and without condition. A soulmate, or perhaps a twin flame, doesn't come to erase your loneliness. They arrive to walk beside your healing, to meet you in your wholeness. They are not here to fill a void, but to co-create a world that reflects both your strengths and your softness. When someone meets you where your soul has been waiting, without pretense, without masks, that kind of union becomes a spiritual mirror. And more than that, it becomes safe ground. You don't need to perform. You simply get to be. From the lens of energetic alignment, what's truly happening is that your frequency has shifted. Through your inner work, your willingness to forgive, to grow, to feel even when it hurt, you've been tuning your heart to a new vibration. The law of attraction responds not just to desire, but to readiness. You are not attracting a person who fixes you. You are attracting someone whose soul recognizes yours because you've finally recognized yourself. This is alignment, not coincidence. It's not the result of wishing harder, but of healing deeper. And while your heart is opening, something else is unfolding alongside it, your path. The second joy may show up as a renewed career opportunity, unexpected financial gain, or the revival of a passion project you had long buried. Perhaps it's the return of something you thought you'd lost forever, or a sudden opening into something you never imagined possible. Either way, it holds the same message. You are no longer operating from a place of lack. You no longer have to earn the right to receive. You are ready to accept this joy, not because you finally meet some invisible standard, but because you've outgrown the version of yourself who thought you needed to. Sometimes we decline blessings because we still think we must prove ourselves first. We quietly sabotage the very opportunities that want to bless us, simply because we don't feel qualified to receive them. But the truth is, this cycle is over. The energy you're stepping into now does not require justification, it simply asks for your willingness to say yes. Not just to love or money or success, but to yourself. In our everyday lives, we often postpone joy until the right time. We bury our celebration beneath layers of responsibility, fear, or doubt. But joy is not something you schedule, it's something you allow. And in this season, joy wants to land fully in your lap. That may feel overwhelming, even undeserved. But here's the truth: you've already paid the price through your patience, your resilience, your quiet bravery. Now it's time to collect. I encourage you to reflect gently here. Is there a part of you that still questions your worthiness? Have you ever turned away from something beautiful because it came too easily? And if so, are you ready to make a different choice this time? Drop a comment below and share with me. What blessing are you finally ready to receive? Maybe it's a second chance. Maybe it's a love that feels like home. Or maybe it's the permission to simply be joyful without guilt. Because Libra, when two blessings arrive at once, they are not competing. They are converging like two wings of the same divine plan. And this time, you're not just watching it happen. You're living it. There are moments when the air feels different, quieter, more charged, almost sacred. You may not always have the words for it, but you feel it, a sense that you're not alone. Libra, if lately you've had the sense that someone or something is walking with you, gently shifting circumstances behind the scenes, you're not imagining it. There is a presence surrounding you now, one that isn't loud or forceful, but unmistakably protective, reassuring, and deeply personal. What's unfolding in your life isn't just a result of chance or timing. It's being shaped, guided, and held in ways that go far beyond what the eye can see. Often we associate this kind of invisible support with the concept of guardian angels or soul guides, energies that walk with us not only in times of great need but also during sacred transitions. These presences don't seek to take control of your life. They honor your free will, your choices, your humanity. But what they do offer is alignment, nudging, redirecting, and softly whispering reminders of who you truly are when you've forgotten. You may have experienced this through dreams, recurring numbers, moments of déjà vu, or even the appearance of a feather, a dove, or a sudden warm light flooding the room for no apparent reason. These aren't coincidences, they are cosmic confirmations. The beauty of the current energetic climate for Libra is that the veil is thinner than usual. What was once subtle is now becoming more noticeable. The quiet support you may have dismissed as your own inner thoughts is revealing itself to be something greater, gentle hands clearing your path, unseen grace opening doors you didn't even knock on. These are not random moments of luck. They are the results of divine orchestration happening just beyond the veil, where your soul is known in its fullness and loved without condition. In times of stress or spiritual transition, people often describe sensing loved ones who have passed on, ancestors, mentors, or even distant relatives they never met in this lifetime. They feel a closeness, a sudden emotional wave, or hear a phrase in their heart that brings clarity. These are real moments. And while they can't always be measured or explained in logical terms, they carry weight because they arrive exactly when we need reassurance the most. Sometimes, the people who once prayed for us in life continue to walk with us beyond it. Other times, it's as if life itself places someone by your side, a spiritual companion whose only task is to remind you that you are being watched over and walked with. What's important is not to try and explain these experiences away, but to accept them with quiet reverence. You don't have to turn them into doctrine or label them perfectly. You only need to trust that your journey is not solitary. You have help, not because you're broken, but because you're deeply loved. In the busyness of modern life, it's easy to overlook these divine collaborations. We're constantly moving, striving, managing. But if you slow down, even just for a few breaths, you'll notice the patterns. The numbers. The messages. The moments when something just works out at the last minute. The stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear. The delay that kept you safe. These are not accidents. They are small modern miracles, reminders that faith still has a pulse, even in a world that often runs on logic and speed. My encouragement to you, Libra, is to honor these quiet signals. Let them comfort you, inspire you, and remind you that you're not walking alone. You are being guided not to bypass challenges, but to move through them with more peace, more wisdom, and more trust than ever before. And if you've ever doubted whether you were seen or heard, consider this your answer. You are. Entirely. Completely. Eternally. Sometimes what we call a miracle is simply justice unfolding in divine timing. Libra, after everything you've carried in silence, after all the invisible strength it's taken to keep choosing kindness, grace, and peace even when it wasn't returned. This part of your journey is not about luck. It's about recognition. The energy surrounding you now isn't a random reward for random goodness. It's a precise, intentional response to the frequency you've held, even in your lowest moments. There is something profoundly sacred about those who give without expecting applause, who forgive without receiving apology, who love with full hearts even when those hearts are met with silence. And Libra, that's who you've been. Again and again. You've made the hard decisions, the ones no one saw, the ones that cost you comfort, validation, even belonging, simply because your soul knew what was right. And now, the universe responds in kind. Not with a whisper this time, but with a wave. A shift. A moment that feels like breath returning to places that were holding tension for far too long. This is the law of return in its purest form, not as punishment or reward, but as energetic alignment. What you've poured into the world, often with trembling hands and tired faith, is now making its way back to you. You didn't plant seeds for applause. You planted them because it was in your nature to give, to hope, to believe in better. And now, without forcing anything, the season of harvest has arrived. Imagine a garden that's been growing underground, silently, in places where even sunlight couldn't reach. The roots expanded, the earth shifted, and the seed endured because it trusted its design. That's you. And the bloom? It's here. But it's not flashy or loud. It's warm. It's real. It's the kind of abundance that makes you breathe deeper, not because you finally got what you wanted, but because you finally see how worthy you were all along. Numerology supports this moment beautifully. The energy of the number 8, your number of karmic balance and divine order, is fully activated. This is the number of infinity, of cycles closing and new ones beginning, of receiving as much as you've given. The number 6 softens the space around your heart, bringing healing in love, harmony in the home, and restoration in the relationships that matter most. And the number 4 calls you to ground it all: your worth, your dreams, your vision for the future in a stable foundation that can hold the fullness of who you are becoming. And just like the mathematics of energy, colors carry a quiet magic too. If you've been drawn to olive green lately, that's no coincidence. It's the shade of sustainable hope, the kind that grows slowly but never dies. It reminds your nervous system that it's safe to believe again. And if pale rose or soft blush tones are speaking to you, let them in. They carry the vibration of unconditional love, not the kind you chase, but the kind that simply welcomes you home. In life, we are often taught to wait for permission to celebrate ourselves, to explain our joy, to justify our blessings. But you've outgrown that. You don't need permission to shine. This isn't about proving anything. This is about receiving with open hands, open heart, and no guilt. Because you've already paid your dues, not through suffering, but through integrity. So Libra, if you feel like things are finally starting to work in your favor, trust it. Don't second guess the timing. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. The doors opening for you now are not favors theory confirmations. Evidence that the light you gave out in silence is finally returning to light your own path. And you, more than anyone, have earned this peace. Freedom, in its truest form, isn't loud. It doesn't always look like a drastic change or a grand gesture. Sometimes, it's simply a quiet decision within a moment when you finally release the pressure to prove, to perform, to be anything other than yourself. Libra, this is the essence of the season you're stepping into. The double blessings that have been building in your field aren't just about love or abundance, they are about liberation. Not escape, not avoidance. Real, soulful freedom. And that kind of freedom begins the moment you decide, I no longer owe anyone a version of me that costs my peace. What you're being called into now is a life that aligns with your inner ease. After so long holding yourself to invisible standards, bending for balance, and carrying responsibilities that were never truly yours, you are now allowed to exhale. You've spent enough time trying to fit into containers that were too small for your spirit. And the truth is, your joy doesn't need to be earned through exhaustion. Your softness doesn't need to be hardened to be respected. The core of both joy and peace is freedom from the performance, and now, you're being asked to reclaim that. This shift also requires something practical. Freedom is not only spiritual, it's also embodied. It asks you to care for your nervous system, not just your dreams. Begin simply. Nourish your body with what it actually needs: hydration, rest, minerals like magnesium that soothe the stress your system has carried in silence. Just 7 minutes of stillness each morning can ground your energy and soften the mental noise. This isn't self-care as a trend, it's self-respect in action. You don't need to be more productive. You need to be more present with yourself. Financially, freedom means you stop leaking energy into things that don't light you up. Track your money not out of fear, but from a place of curiosity and clarity. Ask yourself, am I investing in things that reflect the life I want? If the answer is no, you have every right to redirect without guilt. Your resources deserve to be aligned with your joy, not your survival. In your work, freedom means pausing when your body whispers what your schedule tries to ignore. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't pushing through, it's listening. If you've been grinding through something that no longer resonates, it's okay to ask what your soul really wants now. You're allowed to change direction. Growth doesn't always look like expansion. Sometimes, it looks like realignment. And in love, perhaps most tenderly, freedom is choosing what feels real to your heart, not what looks right on paper. You are not required to date by formulas, timelines, or what anyone else says is appropriate. If a connection makes your heart breathe easier, it's worth honoring. If it doesn't, you're allowed to step away. Let your heart be your compass, not the fear of being misunderstood. As you reflect on this space you're entering, ask yourself gently, have I built my life inside someone else's definition of success, of love, of worthiness? If a miracle were to arrive tomorrow, quiet, real, and beautifully timed, would I even allow myself to receive it? Take a moment now, Libra. If something truly wonderful were to land in your life tomorrow, what would you celebrate with a raised glass? What would you finally believe was yours to keep? Write it down. Say it out loud. Comment it. Because naming it calls it in. Declaring it anchors it. And when you finally let yourself be free enough to welcome it, you no longer wait for miracles. You become the space where they happen. Sometimes, the most powerful transformation doesn't come from a sudden breakthrough, but from the quiet decision to no longer delay the life your soul has been ready for. Libra, this entire journey, this message, this momentous, not a prediction of what might happen to you. It's a sacred reminder of what you are already creating with every thought you nurture, every choice you make, and every time you choose love, even when fear feels easier. You are not waiting for your life to begin. You are in it. Right here, right now, with every breath, you are shaping a reality that reflects what you've learned, what you've healed, and what you now believe is possible. So the real question is, are you willing to believe in good things again? Are you ready to stop bracing for the worst and finally let yourself lean into joy without suspicion? The blessings approaching you now are not based on effort alone, but on alignment. This is about resonance, readiness, trust, and your willingness to no longer shrink around what's been divinely assigned to you. What if you stopped asking, "Why me?" and started saying, "Of course me. I've prepared for this." I know there have been seasons when you gave your all and received little. Moments where your hope felt foolish and your tenderness felt like a liability. But look at you now, still open, still standing, still believing, even if quietly. And that matters more than you know. Because light never leaves the hands it flows from. It always returns, sometimes not in the way we expect, but always in the way we most need. So take everything we explored today, your two divine joys, your sacred support, your reclaimed freedom, and begin to embody it in small ways. Let the way you speak to yourself reflect the self-worth you've grown into. Let your choices reflect a life where ease is not a luxury, but your new standard. And let your actions each day become a living prayer that says, "I am no longer available for anything that shrinks my spirit." I want to gently invite you now to reflect, not with pressure, but with softness. What are you ready to celebrate in advance? If the miracle arrived tomorrow, would you be prepared to receive it? And if you had to choose one thing to anchor into your field today, love, financial peace, deep joy, radiant health, what would it be? Leave your word in the comments below. Say it. Own it. That single word may be the signal the universe has been waiting for. Maybe it's freedom, or trust, or home. Maybe it's simply yes. Whatever it is, let it be real. Let it be yours. If this message stirred something within you, I encourage you to like the video to affirm it, and share it with someone whose heart might need this kind of light today. And most importantly, know this: you are not here by accident. You were meant to hear these words, at this exact point in your timeline. Because something beautiful is arriving. And it's not here to tease you. It's here to stay. From my heart to yours, thank you for being here with me and with the family we're building together here on Zodiac Whisper Tarot. Your presence, your energy, and your belief in something more, that's what fuels everything we create. You are the reason this message exists. And I mean it when I say, what you've been waiting for might just knock on your door tomorrow morning. Open it fully. Let it in. You deserve it.